CNN's Isha Sesay is very popular in this part of the world. She hosts CNN International's Inside Africa and IDesk, and she was in the country on her way to Uganda to host the CNN African Journalist of the Year Awards, and we had a quick chat with her. Of course, considering the awards, Aisha, the first thing people would want to know is, what is your estimation of African journalism? What do you make of it?
The awards are in their 15th year now, and with each year we have seen the number of entries grow, and more importantly the standard get higher and higher, and that's something said by our judges. We have an independent panel of judges, really distinguished individuals who have looked at the entries and just been amazed by the fact that, you know, again, that the standard continues to rise, but also the awards themselves have kind of morphed. They're now the oldest African journalism awards in Africa, but they now become a benchmark. They become a benchmark. They become a standard for the level of journalism on the continent. I really think that they fly the flag for the great work that's being done here on the continent.
So Aisha, now that you're talking about that, how did you get into journalism yourself?
I started my journalism when I was at university. I wrote for the university newspaper. I launched a women's magazine when I was there, and just became very issues focused and very focused on looking out and seeing injustices and wanting to speak to those and delve more and really try and start more conversations, debates, dialogue with people to hopefully effect change. And it kind of really started from that point, and it grew to where I am here at CNN. Along the way I've done a host of other things. I worked in sports, I've done entertainment, I've done lifestyle, I've done kids shows. Right. I've done a mix of things, but now I found my home. CNN is working at a level where, I mean, you're up there. You know, the journalists I work with are incredibly smart, incredibly talented and driven people, and they inspire you to push yourself and, you know, and grow with each day. I think the thing about a 24-hour news network, which is, you know, CNN, when you put that mic on for IDesk, 6 p.m. local time here in Kenya, you never know what's going to happen in the course of that hour.
Right.
And that's the thing, you go in and you say, oh, you know, I'm prepped to do these interviews and that interview, and then you'll have someone say in your ear, oh, there've just been aftershocks in Chile, and oh, you know, we didn't realize that there was going to be the inauguration there in Chile right now, so we need you to ad-lib over these pictures. Or you just don't know. It's unpredictable.
It just happens. IDesk is a very fast-paced show, and what is the place of African stories in this whole international platform?
It's as valid as any other story. I mean, what's making news, whether it's on the continent of Africa or Europe or all the rest of it. You know, we look at what's happening in the world, we look at why it's newsworthy, we look at what our means are to cover that story and tell it in an insightful way. And, you know, it's in the mix. Stories from Africa aren't automatically excluded because they're from Africa. Neither are they automatically bumped up to the top of the list. They're in the mix, and we build our rundowns accordingly. Inside Africa, to my mind, you know, is really, and I'm always proud to say this, and I always say it in interviews, is really part of our network's ongoing commitment to the continent. So Inside Africa, we're trying to get across those social and cultural stories from the continent. We have Marketplace Africa now, which just launched, which is looking at business on and off the continent. We have African Voices now, which is looking at success stories and trailblazers. So I think that when you look at CNN's coverage of Africa, it's not just about IDesk, you know, and where African stories fit in there. It's really a kind of a panoply of different elements that bring out a multifaceted, nuanced, insightful view of the continent. You know, it's a complex, it's a diverse continent, and we have programming to reflect that.
You tweet quite a lot at Isha Sesay CNN, and I follow you on Twitter. Incidentally, I asked you to follow me.
I know. I knew this was going to come up. Yes. I'm going to follow him.
But what do you make of this whole new social media experience and citizen journalism in the place of real-time news? Does it water it down?
I think it's a great addition. I think we can coexist. We can coexist quite happily. I think that there's a role for traditional journalists like ourselves who have the time and have learnt the craft and know about being objective and sourcing things and being balanced and all the rest of it. But there's also a place for social media which gives voice to the immediate interests of our viewers and what they're interested in and what's kind of what they want to discuss. And, you know, in real time, it adds a new dimension to our coverage. But iReport, a great addition. You know, we love to hear from our viewers on IDesk. I mean, I tweet, Isha Sesay CNN. We have, for the African Journalist Awards, I should also say, people can follow us, and it is CNN MC Awards.
Everybody in the country would want to know, how do you get to CNN International? Of course, it's a huge global news gathering operation. How did you get in?
You get into journalism and well, for me, I can speak for myself, I got into it and it has just progressed. In terms of my wanting to get to CNN, I specifically approached them and said, I want to come and work for you. And I sent them my tape, the old-fashioned way that journalists do it here.
Right.
You see a network, you say, I want to go work for that network, you send them your tape, you send them a letter, you hound them with the phone calls, you're persistent, you're focused, and you put yourself in front of people. But what I always say is, your end goal may be to work at CNN. Seize the opportunities that come in your way in the meantime. Every opportunity, every experience is a valuable one, and it's value added to you as a journalist, to you as an on-screen presence. So I don't regret doing sport and doing lifestyle and doing travel shows. All of them have brought me to where I am now and given me different perspectives.
For TV journalism, especially as a lady, you're obviously very beautiful. Is that all that
Thank
needs?
you.
But is it just about beauty to get in there, or do you also need brains?
No, I would say for sure. I mean, the looks are really not the paramount. I honestly say that because when that light goes on at 10 a.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. local, and they say in your ear there's breaking news and we have President Mwai Kibaki or Raila Odinga on the line and they want to speak to you, or the coalition has fallen apart in Zimbabwe and you need to speak to someone, the looks are really, they don't mean anything at that point. You know, it's all the reading, it's all the hard work that comes to the fore. So I would ask people not to get carried away by that or sidetracked by that. And I would say that for journalists everywhere, for every female journalist, because female journalists in particular get asked that question a lot. That is not our be-all and end-all. That's not the sum total of who we are. It's the hard work we put in and the love we have for our jobs.
So finally, we've got to bring this to a close, but are you coming back on safari? Because you really must come on vacation in Kenya. It is the best in the world.
It is a goal of mine. It's a promise I make to you on camera that I will be back in Kenya to go on safari. Not this time because we're off to Uganda for the awards, but I'll be back. I've loved my very, very brief time and my very, very brief taste of Kenya.
All right. Just as we wrap up, I was asked to ask you this on Twitter. Are you seeing someone? All right.
That's so fun. I keep getting asked that in my time in Kenya. I have someone in my life.
Okay, is it going to graduate?
Who knows? I mean, maybe you can ask him that.
All right, Aisha, it's been a pleasure speaking to you. All the best at the awards this Saturday. That has been CNN International's Isha Sesay, host of Inside Africa, and IDesk speaking to us ahead of those awards this Saturday. It's been an absolute pleasure speaking to her, and I'm sure you'll be watching.